What is going on, guys? It's Bucky and welcome to your 5th intermediate Java tutorial. And in this tutorial we're going to be finishing up the program that we started on last time. So what we ended up printing out list 2, but I changed it back to list 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and write a method called ArrayList. And this is a method that we're going to be building in this tutorial. And we're going to be passing list 1. And I named this more things. And let's see. Yep. List 1 and list 2. There we go. Embarrassing. List 2. So this is a method that we're going to be making. So it says create method, you're going to get an error. That's alright for now. So next we're just going to put system out print line, and we're just going to put in break line, print a blank line. There we go. And then we're going to print out list 1 again. So you're saying, alright, what exactly is going on in here? Well, in this method what we're going to do is we're going to edit list number 1 and take out items. So what we want to happen here is we want it to print out eggs, lasers, hats, and pie, and then it's going to run this method right here that we're going to build, and then it's going to print out eggs and pie because it's going to delete these two. So you'll see in a few seconds what's going on. So now we get in this error, create method. Alright, we will. So in this method, let's go ahead and make it public static void, and we named it edit list. And of course it takes two parameters, which are collections, list 1 and list 2. So it's going to take collection, and you couldn't pass it a list, but for polymorphism you usually want to pass it the highest thing possible. So let's go ahead and pass it a string. We'll just name this one L1. Kind of looks like 1, 1, or 11. Very confusing, but I like confusing things. Collection, and pass it string, and we'll just name this one L2 for simplicity. And in our body of our method, let's go ahead and let me introduce something very important in collections, and especially lists, named an iterator. Iterator, and of course I imported this earlier on. So did I spell that right? Yep. And pass it in. What do you want to iterate it through? And of course, if you don't know what an iterator is, it pretty much goes through each list item by item. Wow, that's a really good explanation. I just did that on the fly. Pretty good. Pretty proud of myself. So we wanted to go through string data, and I'm going to name my iterator it because, you know, give it a cool name. So it's going to loop through list 1, and then you just need to put iterator just because, you know, little Java thing. And now you have an iterator that can loop through list number 1. And of course you forgot, list number 1 is eggs, lasers, hats, and pie. List number 2 is lasers and hats. So again, what we're going to be doing is taking out the items from list number 2 from list number 1. So anyways, we have an iterator. Let's do it. So next we're going to need to make a while loop to actually do the stuff. So while it has next, and what this means is, all this statement means is loop through until you reach the end of the list. So while has next, while I have something next to go to. Wow, another good explanation by me. I'm very proud of myself. So every item you get to, you're going to check if it contains list number 2. So if list number 2 contains, just put it right there, it dot next. And what this is saying is, this is if. So here, let me remove. There we go. So what we're going to be doing is saying, alright, if the list number 2 that we passed in, which was only 2 items, if it contains anything that we loop through, let me explain it this way. We're going to loop through item by item right here. And in this if statement, we're going to be checking if that item is in the list number 2. And if it is in the list number 2, we're going to remove it from list number 1. So that's all we need to do, and this might be easier if I put, no, it's pretty easy right now. So let me go ahead and run this, and that's our project. So what we did first is we printed out all the items in list number 1, eggs, lasers, hats, pie. When did we do that? Right here. Print out items in list number 1, eggs, lasers, hats, pie. Then we ran a program called edit list, and by program I mean method. And what this did is remove all the items from list number 2 in list number 1. And then it printed a blank line just so you can return to the next line, and it printed out the items again. So now it removed lasers and hats, which was list number 2, and printed out the list again. And how did this edit list work? Well, how it worked is you passed it in 2 lists, which was this list and this list. Let me make this a little more even. And you made an iterator object just so you could loop through item to item in list number 1. And then you said, alright, while loop through each of these items, this, for this item, see if list number 2 contains it. Nope. For this item, this is actually list number 1. I don't know what I'm doing. For this item, is this in list number 2? Yep, so I'm going to delete it. For this item, is this in list number 2? Yep, so I'm going to delete it. For this item, is this in list number 2? Nope, so we can keep it. So that's why eggs and pie were able to be kept, and that's pretty much the power of a list. Again, dynamic, pretty awesome, and that's it for this tutorial. So thank you guys for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next tutorial.